Welcome back to Massive Epic Tiny Battles, and today we are fighting our second scenario for the defense of Ryloth. In our first scenario, the droids almost advanced unopposed to secure their foothold on the planet. And today we will see them fighting over control for one of their cities. After the CIS had secured their landing on the planet of Ryloth, it was time for them to advance into the cities. The Republic forces set up defenses outside the city and are able to gather 2 ATTEs together for a mighty defense. The droid forces mass up and prepare to assault the defensive works after calling in hyena bombers to soften up the defenders. A battle which historically didn't go too well for the clones as they were forced to retreat. Today we will refight this scenario. Today we will be refighting this key moment in the Ryloth campaign, where all could have ended. In our game, the clone platoon starts with 3 patrol markers in the middle of the pass. The droids start their patrols with 3 additional moves, and advancing straight up the middle of the path, the patrol phase is quickly over. The clones spread out their jump-off points in an effort to cover all approaches to the trench works. The droids have very little cover and don't plan on using it, placing 2 of the jump-off points behind the rocky outcrops. The third one is placed right in the open. The hyena bombers hone in on the village and let loose their bombs on the homes of the native Twi'leks. Rolling to see which buildings are damaged or destroyed, the CIS managed to destroy 5 of the buildings in the village, including one that housed a jump-off point. Then the bombers made another pass, this time for the exposed ATTEs. Knocking out one of the 2, they seriously lower the chance of a clone's successful defense. The clones start off with the remaining ATTE on the board, and with its massive high explosive rating on its main cannon, it discourages the battle droids from deploying. The droids, however, do get a good chain of command roll and deploy 2 of their AAT tanks in positions to attack the clone tank. They shell the ATTE to no avail, but the clone commander is still not able to activate the ATTE. Finally, the droids bring on 2 rocket squads with a 3rd AT, and with the combined firepower of the 3 tanks, they are able to penetrate its armor and take it out of action. This situation is looking all too familiar for the clone commander, as last time the AATs were able to cross unharassed the entire board to win the game. Knowing that the clone commander is going to try and hold the city no matter the cost, they deploy masses of battle droids. 2 squads of B1s in the center of the table and a B2 squad on the left flank. As they present some tempting targets for the clone troopers, they finally decide to act and deploy out of their trenches. He calls out half of his force, 1st and 2nd squad, with a support rocket team to deal with the AAT. The 1st squad fires and takes out 6 battle droids in the open. Unfortunately, this triggers the standby on the remaining droid forces, and a fury of blaster fire rains down upon them. The trench sorts out most of the damage, but the 1st clone of the campaign is killed. 2nd squad takes its revenge by firing and destroying another 6 B1 battle droids. The droid sub-commander comes onto the battlefield to take control of things. He positions himself in a vantage point with heavy cover at the top of a rocky outcrop. He is using the 4 on his chain of command dice to be able to fire all his squads at the same time. The B1s do very little damage, as their squads for this campaign contain no heavy weapons, although to make up for their lack of firepower, the B2 come jam-packed with heavy blasters. In this set of rules, each B2 fires 3 dice each, meaning when firing on the clones in the trench work, they are rolling 36 dice. The clones begin to feel this pressure as more and more clones are getting blasted. As they are now having difficulties bringing their blasters to bear, they deploy the platoon's lieutenant to control things in the right flank trench. Both sides continue to exchange fire over the next couple segments, and despite both sides taking heavy casualties, no leaders are yet wounded. The B1 squads in the open are getting hammered, and they decide to abandon them and deploy 2 new squads in their place. And with the firepower of the 1st and 2nd squad now seriously reduced as casualties start to mount up, they decide to deploy the rest of their clone forces in the left flank trenches, just out of sight of the B2 battle droids. With a new, safer fire base set up to repel the incoming droid force, the decision is made to recall 1st and 2nd squad to behind the buildings where they cannot be shot at. In chain of command, shock plays a vital role in movement and in shooting. For every 2 points of shock taken, 1 fire die is removed, and 1 inch is removed from the movement roll. With this in mind, the 2nd squad and the rocket team manage to move to a safe distance and hide behind some of the buildings. Unfortunately, 1st squad is bogged down with a lot of shock, but not being pinned, they are able to make it to cover in the 1st building, still within blaster range. With the next droid chain of command roll, having 2 senior commanders to activate, he manages to get all the tanks and all the battle droids to focus fire on 1st squad in the building. The tanks hope to roll 3 6s to bring down the building the clones are inside. The amount of fire and damage coming in is enough to pin and then rout the squad. With most of the squad gone and terrified, they leave the table, and the clone overall force morale takes a serious hit. The droids are starting to have the upper hand. The left flank of the clones, led by Captain Keeley, continue their mission to destroy as many droids as possible. They even the playing field when they completely wipe out a B1 squad and manage to send a second one off the table with only 2 of the original 15 battle droids left. The clone commander knows that he needs to focus on ending this battle quickly if he has any chance of winning this. He orders his squad to start to pick off the 2 rocket teams on top of the rocks. Despite the heavy cover, they manage to destroy 3 of the 4 droids, but cannot hurt the sub-commander that is with them. The remnant pulls out of sight and can no longer be shot at. The B2s now move out to face Keeley and his clones. The whole force opens up, firing upon the clones, almost as if the dice knew how hard those shots would have been. The 70 dice rolled only cause a single casualty. The droid tanks, with nothing better to do, decide they would try to bring down the building the 2nd squad was hiding behind. And to everyone's surprise, it actually worked, and sent out the rocket team into the open, where they are quickly destroyed and lowering the force morale even more. With Keeley now the only hope the clones have, he takes to leading his men in heroic fashion, and they open up, blasters blazing, piercing through the hardened armor of the B2 battle droids.
Oh, come on!
The droid player can hardly believe it. One of the shots gets through and destroys the B2 squad leader. This upset reduced the command die from 5 to 3. The tanks and B2 droids fire back and forth, exchanging fire for some time, and the B2 battle droid squad is almost depleted. Then, something heroic happened. After deciding to finally fire at the B1s again, the first shot causes a single casualty. The droid player then checks to see if it hits the leader, rolls a 1, a 6, and then a 1. Yes, he just destroyed with a single shot the senior leader of the droid forces. After not having a single leader hurt the entire game, 2 important commanders for the droid go down within minutes of each other. And to put the nail in the coffin, the droid player has some very poor rolling. Between the 2 leader casualties, he loses a total of 5 morale points, ending the game. With 3 more points than the droids at the end, the clones are able to recover 3 additional casualties. This means that in this campaign turn, they have suffered 9 permanent casualties and 5 temporary ones. The commander makes the decision to concede this map on turn 3 and recover the 5 troops for the upcoming turn 4, where he will need as many men as possible. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to the next episode in this series.